Tonight, following the fair trade fashion.
You don't have to join a political party, you don't have to make any grand statements, you just walk into your local shop and think, today I'll buy something fair trade.
How much is reaching those who need it?
There's a lot of controversy about how much of the benefit is actually passed through to the farmers. There's a lot of question of how much goes to the retailer and distributor and how much goes to the farmers.
Is fair trade fair enough?
I bought my non-fair trade coffee and my fair trade coffee, and there is nearly a 40p difference between the two.
It's a significant difference, particularly when you think that the fair trade product may only return 2 or 3p per jar more to the producers.
Good evening. This time last year, Make Poverty History was the slogan on everyone's lips. The campaign to end third world poverty was hugely successful. And as a result, the sale of fair trade products such as coffee and chocolate has rocketed by 40% to the value of £200 million. There are now more than 1,500 items to choose from, and after years as a niche product, it seems that fair trade has finally broken into the mainstream. But there are some concerns. Should supermarkets be selling fair trade products at a premium price? And should more money from the sales be given to those who need it? Linda Duberly has been investigating whether buying ethically is really money well spent.
Last year, there was no escaping the Make Poverty History campaign. From celebrity-endorsed wristbands to 9 concerts across the world, even the politicians wanted to get in on the action. Poverty, they claimed, could be ended once and for all. But these concerts weren't about helping the third world through charity. This was about providing the poorest people in the world with a helping hand rather than a handout.
Are you ready to change history? I said, are you ready?
And this was going to happen through trade, not aid. Almost a year on, and have the messages from Live 8 really changed anything? Consumers have certainly done their bit to make a difference. It seems we can't get enough of fair trade products.
I buy them because I think I'm giving people in other countries who are not as well off economically, a chance to make a living.
I think it's right to give something back. The chocolate's beautiful, it's lovely.
Is it really? I do pick it up purely because it's fair trade, but I don't tend to buy many other products that are fair trade.
I think it's only fair that the people that grow the produce and the goods in developing countries get a fair price for the products that they produce.
Over the last year, every time I've done my shopping, I, like many others, have tried to buy products with the Fair Trade logo. It's my way of doing something to help the world's poorest farmers, and I like to think that at least some of the money is getting back to them.
If you buy coffee, tea, chocolate, orange juice, bananas with the Fair Trade mark on it, then you know it's come from organised producers. And then we set the price at which that coffee or bananas or tea must be bought. We then check that the companies really are paying that fair price to the farmers. And so that you can feel reassured that the farmers have got a price that covers the costs of sustainable production, covers what it costs them to grow the crop. You would have thought that was a basic, but actually that's what we need to set. And then on top of that, they have a premium that they can invest in the future, so they can begin to build a better life for themselves and their communities.
In the past 3 years, the number of fair trade products available has risen by a staggering 900%. And there are more products being launched all the time. And there is one in particular I'm very keen to try.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Look at that wonderful colour.
Wine is one of the newest on the market, and connoisseur Oz Clark is a big supporter of fair trade.
It's a relatively sort of neat system, isn't it? That's the appeal of it.
It's so simple. I mean, you don't have to join a political party. You don't have to make any grand statements. You just walk into your local shop and think, today I'll buy something fair trade. Just as simple as that. And you walk away and you spend either the same amount of money or a little bit more, but only a little bit more. I mean, I worked out that for the price of a pint of beer in my local pub, I could put fair trade products in my shopping basket for a whole month.
What about these? Are these a similar price range?
Yes,
these ones here?
There's another one. Those will be around a £5. Basically, they'll all be the £4.50 to £5 area. The price is exactly the same. In fact, you might say that this is actually slightly cheaper than some of the others, not more expensive.
It tastes quite nice.
It's good, isn't it?
I quite like it, yes. So fair trade wine certainly won't break the bank, and the affordable prices make it even more appealing to its 10 million shoppers every year. In fact, more than 4 million cups of fair trade tea and coffee are drunk every day in the UK.
And what do you normally buy then, Christine?
Okay, we've got the tea and the coffee.
Meet Christine. She's a mother of 4, and on her fixed weekly food budget, she's trying to buy as many fair trade products as possible. She believes although it is a small contribution, she's definitely helping some of the poorest people in the world.
I think when it comes down to it, it's best to do something than nothing. And as an individual, you sometimes feel quite helpless when you look at the bigger issues. Whereas this is something you can do. As an individual, you can buy something from a store and hopefully your few pence will make a difference.
And her 12-year-old son, Jack, has also been caught up in the fair trade frenzy.
I have kind of heard of it. It's kind of like when you buy something that you know it's being made from people who get paid properly, whereas you buy something that's slightly cheaper but not that much, but you know they're getting not as well paid, and if they don't work to a certain standard they're going to get fired.
Fair trade products are beginning to capture the public imagination because more information is coming out about the exploitation in quote-unquote ordinary food products. So people are turning to the new range. They don't want to buy and consume and then feel bad about it.
With a ready and eager market, it's no surprise that supermarkets are jumping on the fair trade bandwagon. All the major players now sell an ever-increasing range of fair trade products. This year, Marks & Spencer have even gone as far as changing all their own brand coffee and tea to fair trade. They're also the first high street retailer to launch fair trade cotton products using materials from a farming cooperative in India. Why did you find the concept of fair trade products so appealing?
Well, this is all coming from customer demand. I mean, the customer out there is saying to us, please, Marks & Spencer, offer us ethically sourced products. And in some cases, that's all about fair trade.
Do you get any sense that this is a kind of passing fad, or do you think that it's here to stay?
5 years ago, I might have said it was a fad. I mean, but it's clear that the British consumer's been on a journey. Back in the 1990s, it was all about avoiding risk. Don't give me any of the bad stuff, the mad cow disease. Avoid it, please. Then, in the last few years, consumers have been saying, please be a responsible business, but I don't really want to know too much about what you're doing. We're now entering a new exciting phase where consumers are saying, empower me to make a difference as well, so that I know that when I buy a product from you, there is proof, there's evidence it's making a difference to farmers across the other side of the world.
Generally speaking, fair trade products are a little bit more expensive in most supermarkets, but you have managed to keep the price the same as the non-fair trade coffee, for example. How have you managed to do that?
Well, what we've done with our fair trade coffee in both our coffee shops and in our stores, there is no price increase for the consumer. And we've been able to do that and still ensure that the farmer gets the fair price back in the developing world because we bought so much. Because we've done 100%, the volumes we're buying are very, very significant. Huge economies of scale in our supply chain. So the actual on-cost for the consumer has been negligible, and the farmer's getting his money.
But the system is not without its critics. There's concern that while fair trade products may by their very nature cost more, just how much more is debatable. As retailers set their own prices and distribution costs vary, the price at the till can be very different from shop to shop. So exactly how much profit retailers could be making is unclear.
Supermarkets are very ruthless organisations. They'll cut their margins if they can, but they don't like cutting their own margins too much. They'll cut other people's margins. So we don't know yet. It's still early days in the rush by supermarkets to put ethically traded products on their shelves, how much their markup is.
The clamour to buy fair trade has set the supermarket tills ringing, and some think that the high street stores have taken the opportunity to market fair trade as a premium product in a similar way as organic produce. Retailers believe these are items for which the customer is willing to pay more.
The reason they cost more is because the consumer is willing to pay more. And if a consumer is willing to pay more, it's rational to charge them more.
Do you think that that supermarkets, in the main, are fair about the degree to which they mark up fair trade products and turn them into premium products?
I can understand why they do that. I think it's hard always to know the full margin breakdown for any supermarket, but it looks much like it did with organic when it began, particularly as if supermarkets are taking an opportunity here to pursue a premium niche and make the most out of it. And in a sense, that's entirely understandable as a business.
While I, like many others, am happy to pay higher costs to those who need it, I'm unsure of how much of it actually ends up with the farmers. And I know I'm not alone.
I'm not exactly aware. I just understand that the farmers tend to get a greater share of it than they would do with ordinary chocolate.
I dread to think they'll only get about a halfpenny out of everything.
I have absolutely no idea how much they get.
No, but I know it's going to be, obviously, like the label, it's going to be a fair trade, it's a good price. They're not going to be low paid for the product that they're producing.
I have thought about it, I suppose I've just not researched it. It does concern me that maybe I think I'm buying something and thinking that I'm doing a good thing, and maybe the retailer is getting more money than they should.
I've gone off to the supermarket and I bought my non-fair trade coffee and my fair trade coffee, and there is nearly a 40p difference between the two, which is quite a lot, isn't it?
It's a significant difference, particularly when you think that the fair trade product may only return 2 or 3p per jar more to the producer effectively. But we must also remember that makes a huge difference to the producer's life.
So here is my non-fair trade chocolate, and this is the fair trade chocolate, and there's a 20p difference between the two bars, which again is quite a big markup.
And yes, again, it may be that not all of that 20p goes back effectively to the producer for the fair trade product, but I think it's important to remember that with Divine Chocolate particularly, the empowerment of the producers is a key part of the whole bargain too, because they're part owners of the company who make the chocolate. So they also get a benefit as owners as well as producers.
For every fair trade product sold, the farmer or the producer always receive a set amount. But not everyone is convinced of the benefits.
There's a lot of controversy about how much of the benefit is actually passed through to the farmers. There's a lot of question of how much goes to the retailer and distributor and how much goes to the farmer. And I have certainly not seen the accounts of the supermarkets, but the evidence I have seen suggests the proportion of the increased price paid by the consumer that actually goes to the producer is quite modest, and the rest goes to the distributors.
The Fairtrade Foundation says it sees no evidence that retailers are inflating prices on fair trade products, and one supermarket we spoke to insisted that the margins they make on fair trade are never more than on standard products and are often less. I wanted to see for myself how money from my pocket is being spent, and so I travelled the 3,000 miles to Ghana, one of the leaders of the fair trade movement, to see just how my choice of groceries is really helping the lives of people there. Alex Yaboa Afari has worked at this banana plantation for most of his life. He told me that 6 years ago, before fair trade existed here, life was very tough.
We have improved facilities, like we have potable water, which we didn't have some years back. Even though the river is so close, because of the risk of pollution, we had to bring in potable water, and Fairtrade did that work. We have health posts, which is an emergency way of responding to minor injuries, cuts on the plantation.
Alex believes if it wasn't for fair trade, he wouldn't be able to provide for his family.
Well, yeah, with fair trade, you have at least an income. Fair trade pays an income, which is 50% above the normal national minimum wage.
Yeah.
And if you have sustainable production, it means you have guaranteed income.
We consume over 750,000 fair trade bananas every day in the UK, and it's rising all the time. The Co-op Group have been working with this banana plantation for 6 years.
When you come here,